Welcome to our analysis. Today, we are embarking on a comprehensive exploration of the complete chronological timeline of an enigma that has, it's baffled the internet for well over a decade now.
Right.
We're looking at the historical records, the solver testimonies, the cryptographic details, and the cultural impact reports spanning from 2012 straight through to the present day in early 2026.
And it really is a massive timeline to cover.
It is. Our mission here is to lay out the raw facts, the timelines, and the profound technical complexities of a mystery that emerged from the digital shadows, captured the attention of the global intelligence community, and then seemingly vanished.
And, it is a subject that demands rigorous, granular analysis. I mean, we are dealing with an entity that operated with a level of precision, operational security, and multidisciplinary expertise. That is, it's virtually unprecedented in public networks.
Absolutely.
We're going to examine the architecture of their puzzles, the philosophical underpinnings of their recruitment process, and the broader, lingering implications their actions have had on cryptography and digital privacy.
I want to frame this for you by going back to the origin point. Imagine navigating a completely anonymous image board.
Right, like 4chan.
Exactly. It is an environment characterized by ephemeral posts, a transient user base, and just an unfiltered, chaotic flow of information. Amidst the usual noise, a highly cryptic image appears. It is a stark, monochromatic graphic featuring a stylized insect, a cicada.
Yeah.
Accompanying this image is a direct message stating that the author is looking for highly intelligent individuals. The message claims that a test has been hidden within the image itself to find them, and it's simply signed 3301.
Just those 4 numbers.
Right. This single post is the genesis of the organization known as Cicada 3301. This is a phenomenon recognized by the Washington Post as one of the top 5 eeriest unsolved mysteries of the internet.
The immediate filtering mechanism established by that very first image is brilliant. I mean, by stating they were looking for highly intelligent individuals and hiding a test within the digital structure of the image file, the authors instantly eliminated anyone without a strong foundational understanding of digital steganography.
Right, because to the casual observer,
It's just a picture of a bug.
exactly.
They did not provide a hyperlinked URL. They provided a locked mathematical door. The only way to open it was to possess the technical knowledge required to dissect the image file at a structural level.
Precisely. And for an audience already familiar with these concepts, we know that simply looking at the visual representation of the image yields absolutely nothing.
Right.
The solvers who advanced immediately realized they needed to look at the data making up the image itself.
The underlying code.
Yeah. By opening the file in a hex editor or utilizing tools designed to extract hidden data, they found a plain text message embedded within the code. This wasn't a matter of simple ciphertext. It was the manipulation of the file's binary architecture to conceal secondary information without altering the visual presentation of the image at all.
Which is the core definition of steganography.
Exactly. And this set the operational precedent for everything that followed.
And that initial extraction, it led to a URL, which presented an image of a wooden duck.
Right, the decoy.
Yeah, but even that was a decoy. It was mocking the solvers who used rudimentary steganography tools, telling them they had simply found a decoy and to look harder.
I remember that.
It forced the use of specific, more advanced steganographic extraction tools, specifically a program called OutGuess. And when run through OutGuess, the original Cicada image yielded a massive block of hidden text, a book cipher, and a link to a message board. The complexity escalated exponentially within hours of that first post.
Let's trace the timeline of this operation, because the biography of this mystery is crucial to understanding its operational discipline.
Absolutely.
The strict chronological history of Cicada 3301 is a study in controlled execution. That very first puzzle appeared on January 4th, 2012. It ran for nearly a month.
Right.
It demanded an intense collaborative effort from individuals across the globe who formed ad hoc networks on internet relay chat channels and message boards simply to decode the successive clues. Then, exactly a year later, on January 4th, 2013, a second round of puzzles dropped.
The precision of that recurrence is a critical data point. The internet operates on a hyperspeed cycle. For an anonymous entity to orchestrate a highly complex global operation, vanish without a single trace, and then return precisely 365 days later.
It's unheard of.
It is. It demonstrates a level of organizational patience and long-term planning that immediately separates them from standard threat actors or online collectives. The January 4th date became an anchor, a focal point for the entire cryptographic community. It trained a decentralized, chaotic network of individuals to adopt a strict annual cycle of anticipation.
They held to that anchor again the following year. On January 4, 2014, a third round began with a fresh clue posted on Twitter.
And that's where things start to shift.
Right, because note that this specific third puzzle from 2014 remains unsolved to this day.
Yeah.
We will explore the intricacies of the runic architecture that caused that stall shortly. But the timeline itself continues to evolve in a fascinating way. In 2015, there was a year of silence. No new puzzles were published on January 4th.
The community waited.
They waited. Scripts were running, monitoring the known accounts, but absolutely nothing materialized.
And that 2015 silence was as communicative as the puzzles themselves.
How so?
Well, it proved that Cicada 3301 was not bound by the external expectations of their audience. They were not seeking continuous engagement or community building for the sake of public relevance.
They didn't care about going viral.
Exactly. They operated strictly on their own schedule for their own internal purposes.
Yeah.
When they did not appear in 2015, it amplified the psychological weight of the mystery and forced the solver community to reevaluate the unresolved clues from the 2014 drop. It forced a deeper analysis of the material they had already provided.
Then, the established pattern broke. On January 5, 2016, a new clue emerged on Twitter, missing the traditional anniversary by exactly 1 day. Following that, in April 2017, the organization posted its last verified message.
The final communication.
Yes. And this message was highly explicit in its intent. It denied the validity of any unsigned puzzles that had begun circulating in their absence. Which brings us to a foundational pillar of this entire operation, their reliance on the open PGP signature.
We all know how standard PGP signatures work for authenticating data and securing communications. But for Cicada 3301, that private key wasn't just a security measure. It was their entire literal identity.
Right, because they had nothing else.
Exactly. In an environment where anonymity is absolute, you have no face, no corporate registration, and no IP address to trace back to. Without that specific mathematical seal, they were nobody. Anyone could post an image of a cicada and claim to be the organization.
Without PGP, absolute anonymity simply invites imposters.
And it did.
It did. In the vacuum left by cicada silences, dozens of copycats did exactly that, attempting to launch their own puzzles, claiming to be the genuine organization. The PGP signature was the only mechanism they had to maintain authority. Their April 2017 message utilized this signature to definitively state that any puzzle lacking their specific cryptographic seal was a fraud.
And you have to consider the discipline involved there.
The disciplined operational security required to maintain control of that private key over 5 years, across multiple platforms and likely multiple physical locations, without a single verifiable leak regarding the founders' true identities, is an extraordinary feat.
It requires a flawless understanding of data security, network infrastructure, and human vulnerability. They understood that the weakest link in any security apparatus is invariably a person making a mistake, a reused password, a momentary lapse in routing through a proxy, a metadata tag left on an uploaded file.
Right.
The fact that no such mistake has ever been exploited to reveal their identities suggests a highly compartmentalized and rigorously disciplined internal structure.
I want to emphasize to you just how incredibly rare it is for an internet phenomenon to sustain absolute anonymity for this duration. We exist in an era where digital footprints are practically unavoidable.
Completely unavoidable for most people.
Right. Internet service providers log routing data, metadata attaches to nearly every digital action, and the sheer volume of surveillance from state-level actors and corporate entities makes existing as a digital ghost exceedingly difficult. Yet from 2012 to their last verified message in 2017, and even looking back from our vantage point in the present day in 2026, no individual or agency has definitively unmasked the architects behind Cicada 3301.
And moving from their timeline into the anatomy of the puzzles themselves reveals why they were able to maintain this posture. We must venture beyond the computer screen. The sheer variety and complexity of the clues go far beyond simple cryptography. The operation required deep, practical knowledge of data security, steganography, reverse engineering, and anonymity networks.
We discussed the outguessed steganography earlier, but the mediums they used were aggressively varied. The puzzle bled out of the digital realm and into the physical world. The clues were not just lines of code hosted on a server. They included automated telephone calls originating from numbers based in Texas.
Yeah, that was a major pivot.
Solvers had to dial the number and listen to a synthesized voice reading out a sequence of numbers, which then had to be interpreted as dimensions for a new image file or variables for a decryption key. They utilized bootable Linux operating systems.
The inclusion of a bootable Linux CD is a masterclass in controlled environments.
Explain that a bit more for those who might not have booted an OS from a CD recently.
Sure. Solvers were directed to a disk image file, an ISO, or if they had to physically burn to a CD or mount to a USB drive, and then boot their computer directly from it. This bypassed the solver's native operating system entirely.
So it takes Windows or Mac OS completely out of the equation.
Exactly. It ensured the solver was working within an environment constructed specifically by Cicada 33301. It eliminated external variables and forced the solver to navigate a bespoke, localized system to find the next cryptographic key. It is a highly aggressive way to control the parameters of the test.
And perhaps most famously, they utilized physical paper signs placed in various locations around the entire globe. Solvers extracted GPS coordinates from encrypted data, which pointed to precise locations in Warsaw, Paris, Seattle, Seoul, Arizona, Sydney, and Hawaii, among others.
All over the map.
Literally, when individuals traveled to these coordinates, they found physical posters affixed to telephone poles or brick walls. These posters bore the Cicada logo and QR codes that, when scanned, led to the next stage of the network.
The physical deployment of these clues completely shifts the paradigm of the operation. It acts as a rigorous, real-world filter. It bridges digital cryptography with physical reality. Think about the logistics required.
Right, it's massive.
You are an anonymous organization. You need to securely place physical evidence in multiple countries across different continents, all coordinated to be discovered simultaneously once the global solver community cracks the digital coordinates. You must execute this without your operatives being captured on security cameras.
Which are everywhere.
Exactly. Without leaving physical forensic evidence like fingerprints or DNA, and without any of your local assets breaking protocol and exposing the operation.
It demands not just supreme coding skills, but physical legwork and a massive leap in global collaboration among solvers. Because a single brilliant cryptanalyst sitting in a basement in London might be able to crack the digital steganography, but if the resulting coordinates point to a lamppost in Okinawa, Japan, their progress instantly halts.
They're completely stuck.
They are forced to collaborate. They must form networks of trust with other anonymous individuals across the globe to physically retrieve the data. The puzzle itself was engineering a decentralized intelligence community in real time.
And the artistry and cultural breadth involved in the clues were deeply layered. It wasn't just raw mathematics. The operation utilized two pieces of original unidentified music, titled The Instar Emergence and Interconnectedness. Solvers discovered that by running these audio files through spectrograms,
which is software that visualizes audio frequencies into a visual graph.
Exactly. Hidden images and text were revealed in the sonic architecture. Furthermore, the clues referenced a wide array of esoteric and highly obscure literature.
The literary references provide a massive window into the philosophical framing of the organization. They directed solvers to a poem titled Agrippa, a Book of the Dead.
That's a fascinating inclusion.
It is. The nature of Agrippa is incredibly unique. It is a poem by the cyberpunk author William Gibson that was originally distributed on a 3.5-inch computer floppy disk in 1992. The disk was programmed with a mechanism to encrypt itself after a single reading,
Meaning you could only read it once.
making the text entirely ephemeral and inaccessible thereafter. By integrating Agrippa, Cicada 3301 draws a direct thematic parallel to the transient, secure nature of digital information and the concept of data that consumes itself.
They also heavily reference the Mabinogion, which is a collection of ancient Welsh mythological stories, and Aleister Crowley's The Book of the Law, a foundational text of the religious philosophy of Thelema.
A very eclectic mix.
Highly eclectic. This synthesis blends high-level computer science with ancient mythology and occult philosophies centered around will and secrecy. It acts as a cultural filter, demanding a multidisciplinary genius. But the absolute pinnacle of their literary and cryptographic output is a text titled Liber Primus.
Liber Primus, which translates from Latin as first book. It is undeniably the most daunting and complex artifact left behind by Cicada 3301. It is not a referenced historical text. It is an entirely original manuscript written and designed by the organization itself.
And it is composed almost entirely in a bespoke runic alphabet. And its scale is massive. Solvers quickly realized that the runes were not a simple static substitution cipher.
Right. It wasn't just this rune equals the letter A.
Exactly. The encryption methodology shifted dynamically throughout the text. Sometimes the text was encrypted using complex hash functions, requiring solvers to understand how to reverse engineer cryptographic hashes. Other times, the decryption required the application of specific, massive prime numbers that had been extracted from earlier, seemingly unrelated stages of the puzzle. These prime numbers served as the keys for highly complex cryptographic algorithms.
The structural integrity of Liber Primus is staggering. To this day, only some of the pages of this book have been successfully decrypted. The 2014 puzzle, which we know remains unsolved, is intrinsically tied to the uncracked pages of this runic manuscript.
Yeah.
The collective computing power, the distributed networks of code breakers, and the application of advanced cryptanalysis over the past decade have fundamentally failed to break the remaining pages.
The creation of Liber Primus serves dual purposes. Operationally, it is an ultimate cryptographic challenge. It is a gauntlet that has withstood the greatest decentralized cryptanalysis effort on the public internet.
And philosophically,
Philosophically, the pages that have been translated reveal deep treatises on the nature of reality, the concept of the self, and the absolute necessity of preserving information free from tyranny. It shifts the perception of Cicada 3301 from a collective of highly skilled puzzle makers to an organization anchored by a deeply entrenched ideological foundation.
you have to ask yourself, what was the point of all this effort, both from the architects and the solvers? The group's stated intent from the very first image was simply to recruit highly intelligent individuals with specific elite skills in cryptography and computer security.
But the unprecedented scale of the operation naturally led to massive speculation.
Exactly. Let's logically break down the various theories regarding who was operating behind the curtain. The first, and often most persistent theory, points to state-sponsored intelligence agencies.
The entities frequently hypothesized in this context are the National Security Agency in the United States, the Central Intelligence Agency, the United Kingdom's Secret Intelligence Service, and Israel's Mossad.
Right.
The reasoning has a historical basis. Intelligence agencies have a documented precedent of utilizing public puzzles for recruitment. During the Second World War, the British government famously used highly complex crossword puzzles in the Daily Telegraph to identify individuals with the specific lateral thinking skills necessary to break the German Enigma code at Bletchley Park.
The parallel is obvious. You need the smartest cryptographic minds in the world to design systems that protect your national secrets and simultaneously to break the encrypted secrets of your global adversaries. Deploying a massively complex, multi-stage puzzle into the wild internet is a highly efficient way to let the top-tier talent self-identify.
They do the filtering for you.
Exactly.
However, when we subject this theory to critical analysis, severe contradictions emerge. While puzzle-based recruitment has historical precedent, the execution by Cicada 3301 completely subverts standard governmental protocols. The global, public, and highly esoteric nature of the puzzles makes it an incredibly unlikely tool for a state actor.
Because intelligence agencies require deeply controlled environments.
Exactly. The integration of Aleister Crowley, obscure Welsh mythology, William Gibson's cyberpunk literature, and the creation of a proprietary runic manuscript does not align with the rigid bureaucratic recruitment strategies of entities like the NSA.
Exactly. It's easy to look at the global GPS drops, like Warsaw, Seoul, Arizona, and assume a massive state budget is required. But look at the actual locations. Posters stapled to telephone poles, QR codes taped to random brick walls.
This is very grassroots.
Yes. This completely undercuts the state actor theory. The NSA or MI6 is not deploying a highly cleared intelligence operative to staple a piece of paper to a telephone pole in a Seattle suburb. Furthermore, government agencies eventually need to legally clear their recruits. Operating an anonymous darknet forum focused on anti-censorship philosophies is entirely counterintuitive to the operational realities and legal frameworks of state intelligence.
So if we discard state intelligence, the analysis shifts toward private or shadow entities. Some have speculated it could be a highly advanced cyber mercenary group operating in the private sector, looking to recruit top-tier talent for high-level corporate espionage or private security contracts.
That's a common theory.
Others lean toward a conceptual Masonic conspiracy, a cult, or a highly compartmentalized secret society aimed exclusively at improving privacy and cryptography on a global scale.
The secret society theory aligns much more closely with the philosophical texts uncovered within Liber Primus. The translated runes emphasize individual enlightenment, the absolute rejection of external, centralized control, and a deep systemic focus on privacy technology. This suggests an organization driven strictly by ideology rather than national allegiance, geopolitical strategy, or corporate profit.
They present themselves as digital guardians.
Seeking highly capable individuals who share an uncompromising dedication to an open, uncensored, and secure internet architecture.
Another prevalent theory is the alternate reality game, or ARG.
Let's discuss that.
An ARG is an interactive networked narrative that uses the real world as a platform and employs transmedia storytelling to deliver a narrative that may be altered by the participants' ideas or actions.
Yeah.
We see this frequently in massive marketing campaigns for upcoming video games, films, or consumer technology products.
The transmedia nature of the clues. Moving from 4chan image boards to Texas telephone lines to global physical posters to bootable Linux systems, it certainly mirrors the mechanics of an elite ARG. But we must heavily emphasize the fatal flaw in the ARG theory.
Right.
In the entire operational history of Cicada 3301, spanning from 2012 to the present day, no company, corporation, or individual has ever attempted to monetize the phenomenon.
And that is the definitive counter-argument. Engineering and executing an ARG of this scale, maintaining the server infrastructure, deploying global physical assets, and designing the cryptography requires immense resources, time, and global coordination.
It's a huge investment.
Exactly. And in a corporate sector, this level of investment is strictly tied to a return on investment. Selling a video game, promoting a blockbuster film, or driving massive user traffic to a new digital service. Over a decade later, there is no product. There has been no reveal of the parent company. There are no advertisements. The absolute absence of monetization makes it highly unusual and practically impossible for Cicada 3301 to be a traditional corporate alternate reality game.
Which brings us to the most vital piece of the puzzle, the individuals who actually completed the trials. To truly understand the organization, we must analyze the accounts of those who successfully navigated the entire labyrinth. Let us focus on the confirmed victors of the 2013 puzzle. We have detailed accounts from a solver named Marcus Warner and another highly prominent solver known by the pseudonym Nox Populi.
The account provided by Marcus Warner fundamentally changes our understanding of the organization's goals. Winning was not simply a matter of cracking the final hash and receiving an automated congratulatory message.
There was more to it.
Much more. The culmination of the technical trial was immediately followed by a rigorous psychological and ideological interview process.
This is where the filter shifts from pure mathematics to deeply held philosophy. Warner detailed that successful solvers were directly and intensely questioned on their core beliefs. The organization demanded to know their stance on the concept of information freedom.
They probed their views on the absolute right to online privacy.
Most importantly, they questioned their dedication to the rejection of digital censorship by state or corporate actors. This conclusively proves that Cicada 3301 was not purely a test of raw computing power.
You could possess the most gifted cryptanalytic mind on the planet, capable of breaking highly complex hashing algorithms in record time. But if you held the belief that the internet should be tightly regulated, monitored, and censored by centralized authorities, you would instantly fail the final interview.
The ideology was paramount.
The technical skills demonstrated over the month-long hunt were merely the prerequisite to determine if you were capable. The ideological interview determined if you were philosophically aligned with their mission.
Those who answered the questions on privacy and censorship satisfactorily were invited to a highly secure, private darknet forum. This forum was hosted on the Tor network. Accessing it required an understanding of onion routing protocols, ensuring the identities of both the organizers and the successful recruits remain entirely obscured from each other and the outside world.
Complete anonymity maintained internally.
Yes. Once inside this secure environment, the objective shifted drastically. They were no longer solving puzzles. They were instructed to devise and complete a highly advanced software project intended to further the ideals of the group.
They transitioned from recruits to active developers. Warner detailed his specific involvement in this operational phase. He was tasked with collaborating on a method for general decryption.
Which is a massive, complex undertaking.
It is. They were essentially trying to build a master architecture or a universal protocol capable of handling and decrypting complex encrypted data streams. It aligns perfectly with the group's focus on universal information security and decentralized data access.
However, the realities of distributed anonymous collaboration often present significant structural challenges. Managing a highly complex software development cycle with individuals who refuse to share their real names, time zones, or backgrounds is incredibly difficult. Warner noted that the work on the general decryption method eventually stalled.
The momentum just faded.
The momentum within the private forum seemingly dissipated, and eventually the Tor hidden service was taken offline, dissolving that specific collaborative development hub.
The aftermath for the solvers provides another crucial layer of insight into the community that formed around the phenomena. Look at the trajectory of Nox Populi. After the private forum was dissolved, she took a very public and methodical stance regarding her experience.
Right.
She utilized her YouTube channel to thoroughly document her step-by-step solving process. Her primary objective was advocating for a realistic, strictly fact-based view of the organization and their cryptographic methods.
She actively pushed back against the rampant, sensationalist conspiracy theories that were swallowing the narrative. The broader internet was projecting endless, baseless theories onto Cicada 3301. Claims of alien intelligence, elite global cabals, and esoteric mind control.
The usual internet noise.
Exactly. Nox Populi's documentation serves as a critical anchor to reality. She emphasized the technical methodologies, the specific steganographic tools, the application of prime numbers, and the raw cryptanalysis actually required to advance through the stages.
Her continued efforts in facilitating grounded, technical community discussions on her Discord server, alongside other rigorous solver communities that persist on various message boards today, demonstrate the lasting intellectual infrastructure birthed by the puzzle.
Even in the organization's prolonged absence, the technical community they inadvertently engineered continues to analyze, learn, and collaborate on complex cryptographic challenges.
But building a massive, leaderless community in the dark also creates the perfect operational camouflage for bad actors.
This is a crucial point. Let us examine the misattributions, the copycats, and the severe allegations of illegal activity that inevitably surround an entity lacking a public face. In 2017, the mystery took a sharp, highly dangerous turn in South America. Authorities from the Los Andes province in Chile officially and publicly accused Cicada 3301 of being a malicious hacker group actively engaged in illegal cyber activities within their jurisdiction.
This specific incident perfectly illustrates the immense vulnerability of decentralized anonymous movements. When an organization has no centralized spokesperson, no registered corporate address, and no verifiable human leadership, it becomes exceptionally easy for third parties, both malicious hackers and state law enforcement, to attribute actions to them.
Right.
Law enforcement agencies faced with complex cybercrimes they cannot immediately solve may attempt to link those crimes to known, sophisticated anonymous entities like Cicada 3301 simply because the organization's capabilities are legendary, even if their identities are a void.
The response from the actual organization was incredibly swift and operationally definitive. Cicada 3301 responded to the Chilean authorities' claims by issuing a public statement strictly denying any involvement whatsoever in illegal activity. And crucial to our earlier analysis, this statement was cryptographically signed using their verified OpenPGP private key.
This event highlights exactly why Cicada 3301 relied so heavily, almost exclusively, on OpenPGP keys. It was their singular mechanism to protect their reputation and their philosophical mission from malicious allegations.
Without it, they have no voice.
Without the PGP key, their denial would be just another anonymous text file on the internet, carrying no more weight than the accusation itself. By signing it with the key, the global cybersecurity community and the authorities could verify mathematically that the denial originated from the exact same entity that created the global puzzles, definitively separating them from the actions in Chile.
A similar, highly publicized incident occurred involving a major digital data breach. In July 2015, a digital breach occurred at the medical organization Planned Parenthood, resulting in the unauthorized access and subsequent release of their internal databases. The individuals claiming responsibility for executing the cyber attack utilized the name 3301.
We must look at the mechanics of brand hijacking in cyberspace. The utilization of the name 3301 by the attackers immediately caused widespread speculation that the original puzzle makers had abandoned their philosophical recruitment drive and shifted into active, politically motivated cyber warfare.
It's a textbook operational tactic for malicious actors.
They utilized the recognized branding of a highly sophisticated group to artificially inflate their own perceived capability, generate instant global headlines, and direct the resulting investigative scrutiny away from their own true identities.
In analyzing the facts of the digital breach impartially, we see that Cicada's rebuttal was immediate and absolute. They issued another PGP-signed statement, explicitly clarifying their position. They stated, with mathematical verification, that they were not associated with the hacking group in any capacity. Furthermore, they stated they explicitly did not condone the use of their name, their number, or their symbolism in the attack.
The clarity of the PGP signature allowed the cybersecurity community to instantly isolate the actual puzzle creators from the malicious actors.
And eventually, the hackers who actually carried out the data breach publicly confirmed themselves that they had zero affiliation with the genuine Cicada 3301.
The absolute necessity of these public, cryptographically verified denials emphasizes a core operational philosophy of the genuine organization. While they operated entirely outside the traditional bounds of legal identity and corporate structure, they maintained a remarkably strict ethical boundary regarding offensive cyber operations.
Their focus remained entirely on defensive architecture, privacy technology, advanced encryption, and the philosophical pursuit of information freedom. They distanced themselves entirely and aggressively from destructive, offensive, or illegal hacking activities.
The operational ripples of this mystery extended far beyond the message boards, the cryptographic communities, and the darknet forums.
The legacy and cultural impact of Cicada 3301 demonstrates how a well-constructed enigma can permeate the mainstream and fundamentally alter institutional thinking. In 2014, the United States Navy launched an official program called Project Architeuthis. This was a cryptographic challenge deployed on social media platforms designed specifically to recruit elite analysts and code breakers for the military. The execution was explicitly modeled on the recruitment puzzles of Cicada 3301.
The fact that a major military intelligence branch would actively emulate the operational tactics of an anonymous internet collective is highly significant. The Navy analyzed the situation and recognized the sheer efficiency of the public puzzle model. They saw how Cicada 3301 successfully bypassed traditional bureaucratic recruitment bottlenecks to identify individuals with innate, highly developed lateral thinking and cryptanalytic skills.
It's a validation of the method.
Project Architeuthis was a formal acknowledgement by the defense establishment that the traditional resume, background check, and interview process is often highly insufficient for finding truly elite cyber talent in the modern era.
The phenomenon also captured the deep attention of the entertainment industry. The hit television show Person of Interest featured a 2014 episode titled Nautilus. The core plot of this episode focused on a massive, worldwide cryptographic puzzle featuring the image of a nautilus shell. The mechanics of the puzzle depicted in the show, the deep digital steganography, the physical world clues deployed in global cities, the rigorous philosophical filtering of the candidates, mirrored the reality of Cicada 3301 almost exactly.
The creators of the show were entirely transparent about this direct connection. Series creator Jonathan Nolan and executive producer Greg Plageman stated openly that Cicada 3301 was the direct and primary inspiration for the narrative of that episode.
They recognize the inherent dramatic tension of the real-world puzzle.
It functions as a modern manifestation of the classic mystery narrative, updated for an era defined by global networks, decentralized communication, and the omnipresent threat of digital surveillance.
The narrative footprint continued to expand into feature films. The 2021 comedy thriller film Dark Web, Cicada 3301, took the core concept and dramatized it for a cinematic audience. Directed by Alan Ritchson, who also co-wrote the script with Joshua Montcalm, the film starred Jack Kesey, Connor Leslie, and Ron Funches. The plot follows a brilliant but directionless hacker who becomes deeply entangled in the recruitment game, forcing him to navigate the digital underworld.
Analyzing the film's narrative choices reveals how the public perceives the mystery. By framing the protagonist's journey as a frantic evasion of the National Security Agency while simultaneously participating in the cryptographic game, the film actively plays with the various theories we discussed regarding the real organization's origins.
It reflects the broader public's fascination with the intersection of high-level hacker culture and the omnipresent reality of state surveillance, utilizing the Cicada mystery as the ultimate catalyst to explore that conflict.
Even the interactive gaming industry integrated the lore into their architecture. The mystery plays a major conceptual role in the visual novel Anonymous Code, demonstrating just how deeply the aesthetic and the philosophical framework of the puzzle have embedded themselves in modern digital storytelling. They cross the barrier from a niche, highly technical corner of an anonymous image board into global pop culture and military strategy.
It speaks to a universal human drive to uncover hidden architecture. In a digital world where information is often prepackaged, algorithmically sorted, and easily consumed, the presentation of a genuine, highly complex, and seemingly impenetrable mystery creates a profound gravitational pull.
It challenges the intellect of the collective internet and suggests the existence of a deeper, unseen layer to the digital reality we interact with on a daily basis.
Consider the sheer magnitude of the operation we have analyzed. A completely anonymous entity successfully engineered and executed a global operation requiring immense technical expertise, flawless logistical coordination, and deep psychological insight. They engineered a real-time, decentralized community of some of the brightest cryptographic minds in the world between 2012 and 2014.
They filtered these individuals through a rigorous ideological vetting process, demanding an uncompromising commitment to digital privacy and the absolute rejection of censorship.
They guided these recruits into secure, hidden networks to develop advanced decryption architecture, and then, following their final verified cryptographic signature in April 2017, they seemingly retreated entirely into the shadows, leaving behind the uncracked runic pages of Liber Primus and a legacy that forced even military intelligence to adapt their methodologies.
The sudden, absolute cessation of verified communication is as deliberate and communicative as the initial puzzle drop. It leaves a permanent, highly secure void in the historical record of the Internet. The unresolved nature of the 2014 puzzle and the stubbornly untranslated pages of Liber Primus ensure that the structural framework of the mystery remains completely intact, preserved exactly as they left it, immune to the rapid decay of Internet culture.
It leaves you with a deeply compelling reality to consider. If this highly intelligent, philosophically driven group successfully identified, vetted, and recruited the absolute elite of the global cryptographic community during those early years, and then intentionally went dark, what exactly have those recruits been building in the silence?
That is the ultimate question.
What untraceable privacy tools, what highly advanced encryption standards, or what digital freedom initiatives are operating seamlessly in the background of our present-day internet that might have been quietly birthed in that private darknet forum? We navigate a digital world protected by invisible, highly complex architecture, and it is entirely possible that some of the foundational pillars holding up our modern privacy systems were designed by the individuals who possess the intellect to answer the call of the cicada.
Exactly.
Thanks for listening.